Geoff, good to see you. Thank you for your time. I've got to say, we do seem to have new theories about the fate of MH370 come up every few months. Why should we be putting faith in this particular one?
Well, it's a very good question. The reason is because we've been working with Richard Godfrey for 9 months on this technology. We have been the adjudicators, and he has used some blind flights, in other words, there's no record of the flights, provided by Qantas, Qantas 747 captain, the New Zealand Air Force, the Australian Maritime Search and Rescue, and we have given him the takeoff point, the date, and that's all. And he has tracked the flights to their destination spot on 4 times. So on the basis of those trials, he then moved on to MH370. He wanted to prove up the technology that he's evolved, which is when radio waves, when an aeroplane flies through a radio wave, it's like a tripwire, it causes an aberration. Now those radio waves have been put into a database ever since 2009. So all the radio transmissions since 2009 are in a massive database. This is ham radio. And he's been able to interpret it with the software that he has developed, and he's been able to track it every 2 minutes. So, you know, before we had some broad data on where it should be, but we weren't precise. Now what he's been able to do is get it precise.
And I see Richard Godfrey is convinced that this was essentially a lone terror attack, that the pilot did this on purpose.
Yes.
You've followed this case for many years now.
Since first day.
Is that your belief too?
Oh, absolutely. The evidence is overwhelming. It's absolutely overwhelming. There's absolutely no question in my mind and many people in the industry's mind that it was indeed, sadly, the captain. Yes.
So what happens now? Will this prompt a new search?
Look, absolutely. Richard is in constant contact with a couple of search companies, one in particular, Ocean Infinity, who did have a look in 2018, but not in this particular spot. And they do absolutely want to come back. They say MH370 is unfinished business. And very interestingly, the spot that he's identified is extremely close to where Professor Chari Patarachi from the University of Western Australia, one of the world's leading oceanographers, said it is located. And it was his drift modelling that he did that let Blaine Gibson, the wreck hunter, find all the debris he did. So there's a lot of boxes have been ticked for this particular spot.
The initial search was pretty extensive. Did it cover this ground?
It did initially, yes. Fugro did cover it. They did find some anomalies in this particular area, which by the way is ravines, mountains, volcanoes. It's a pretty gnarly part of the world, 4,000 metres deep. They were checked out supposedly. Nothing was found. What they will now do is go back over those scans of the ocean floor and have a real good hard look and hopefully identify something, or Ocean Infinity will come and have a good look at it.
But this is firmly in the hands of the private sector now. You can't see any government involvement happening.
I can't see any government, apart from the Malaysian government may do what they did before, no fine and no fee, which is the offer on the table from Ocean Infinity, no fine, no fee. But the Malaysians are reluctant to do that.
Could this happen again in 2021, Geoff? Could a plane disappear these days, or have things changed?
The industry has put in all sorts of tracking technology into these aircraft now, so no, it can't happen again.
Okay, and what about Malaysia Airlines? What stake are they playing in all of this, if at all?
Very little, very little.
Have they actually recovered? Because obviously there was MH370, there was also the plane that was shut down, there's been the pandemic. Have they ever recovered from this
They're in a very, very difficult situation. It's now government owned completely. It's supported by the government, but then they're not travelling very well.
And the families must just be desperate for this sort of breakthrough.
Look, absolutely. And one of the things that's tormented the families is there's been 130 books written about the disappearance of MH370. Most of them are just utter rubbish. They're just ludicrous speculation and shot down by a laser beam, hijacked by the Russians and everything. There's all sorts of crazy stuff. And all that does is torment and tear at the hearts of these relatives who we've met, and it just tears you to pieces, the anguish they're going through. So something like this, and they've been involved, they've been kept appraised all the way along with what Richard's doing, and this gives them real hope that we can finally find this aeroplane and give them some closure and give them some answers.
That would be a good conclusion. Everyone would like to know what happened. It just seems bizarre.
Indeed, indeed.
Geoff, good to see you. Thank you for your time. I've got to say, we do seem to have new theories about the fate of MH370 come up every few months. Why should we be putting faith in this particular one?
Well, it's a very good question.